So you can see here on the Desmos graphing calculator, I've set up y equals a to the x, and I have a slider for a, and currently a is at 2, and therefore the graph is of y equals 2 to the x. Note, if you look at the scale here, that it goes through 0, 1, and note that the negative x-axis is an asymptote. If I zoom in here, you'll see that the red curve is always above the axis, but no matter how far we go out, it will never reach it, and that's what's meant by an asymptote. You can see that when x is 1, this is 2 to the power 1, and 4 here, and if we go out as far as x is 4, then it would be 2 to the power 4, which is 16. You can see that point just there. X is 4, y is 16. If I change a to 3, you'll see that certainly to the right of the axis here, it becomes steeper, and you'd expect that. Still goes through 0, 1, but when x is 1, it's 3 to the power 1, which is 3. When x is 2, it's going to be at 9. You can see virtually there. Now, what happens as we bring a downwards? You can see it changing shape. When it gets to 1, it's just going to be a flat line, because of course 1 to any power is just 1. When we get into fractions, notice how it slopes the other way. So 0.5 we know is a half, so this is a half to the power x. So when x is 1, this is now at a half. I can't get exactly on 1, but you can see that's pretty close. Still goes through 0, 1, of course. And now, when x is negative 1, we get a half to the negative 1, which is 2. I can't get exactly on there, but you can see how close that is. So that's what happens when a is between 0 and 1. The graph goes this way, and the positive x-axis becomes the asymptote. But whether a is less than 1 or more than 1, like so, always goes through 0, 1, and always has the x-axis as an asymptote. It's the negative part of the x-axis when a is more than 1, and the positive part when a is less than 1. Now I've just added to the equation, I've added a b outside here. At the moment b is set to 0, a is set to 2, and you can see it's the same graph we had before, which goes through 0, 1 here on the axis. What happens as I change b? Let's say I move b to 1. The whole graph's moved upwards. So if I move b as far as 4, so I now have 2 to the x plus 4, the whole graph has moved upwards. And now the line y equals 4 is the asymptote. We know that when the x-axis was the asymptote, it went through 0, 1. It now goes through 0, 5. So that's just 1 unit above the asymptote. And that would continue if we increase this one here. So it's up to 6. And you can see that that's going to cross there at 7. Even if we make the a negative, the same thing still happened. If b is 6, the line y equals 6 is now the asymptote, and it still crosses the axis at 7. So that's 1 unit above where the asymptote is. And we could take b down into the negatives, and we can make y equals -2, the asymptote. I'm just going to put a back to 2. Just going to look at one more transformation, which we didn't look at in any of the examples. But that's when you multiply the a to the x by some other number, c. At the moment, I've got c set to 1. I'm going to put b to 0 so that we have the standard 2 to the x curve here. The asymptote is the x-axis again, and the intercept is at 0, 1. Watch what happens when I change c. If I make c 3, the x-axis is still the asymptote, but now it crosses at 0, 3. So c being 3, multiplying outside here, that c being 3 now means that the y-intercept is 3 units above the asymptote. And what do you think is going to happen if I make c 5? Now it is 5 units above the asymptote. We could make c a negative number, and guess what happens? If it's a negative number, it reflects in the x-axis.